Welcome back. It's the Big Blue Banter New York Giants football podcast. And it seems, as a fan base, Nick, and we're doing this live, so we're going to let some people get in before we get too into it. But it seems as a fan base, we're just destined to this kind of life for now. It's just unbelievable. We can't get happy. We're destined for unhappiness. And I said this to you before the show, before we start recording. It feels like it's a broken record at this point when we talk before our shows. It's like I keep thinking and saying to you, and you agree with me on these things because I think it's obvious that the Giants should have won this game. The Giants had so many opportunities to win this game, and they didn't win this game. And how many times are we going to say the Giants should have won this game? Yeah, there are some blowouts that have happened. Oh, sorry, I had a little bit of issue there with the sound, but the Giants, look, there's been some blowouts too in the last 5-10 years of this failure of a franchise, but there have been so many of these games, Nick, where they should have won and they didn't win. And it seems like they're always coming out on the wrong end. And so let's start there, man. Like, what are the Giants right now? Why did they keep finding themselves in these games where it looks like they should win and they don't win?
I would say let's just stick with this game specifically. The Giants are relying so much, and this is kind of the entire time with Daboll, and it's not, I don't feel like a referendum on Daboll, but they rely so heavily on efficiency. And when you rely on efficiency, it makes you play perfect football. You can't have drop passes. There's only really one way to win the football game, and that is to be efficient, but then be efficient in the freaking red zone or have your defense make stops on the defensive side of the football to prevent touchdowns. Then you keep it low scoring and kind of boring, and it's a sludge fest. Well, the Giants were efficient. Daniel Jones was very efficient. You look at his final numbers, you're like, oh, wow, that's really efficient. Look, he really didn't have any incompletions. But how many plays did Daniel Jones leave on the field because he couldn't complete the deep passes that were there? Those opportunities were there to be seized on, Dan. Those opportunities were there, and the Giants could not complete them. And kudos to Jones for being able to keep the game on script and all that. Yeah, that's all well and good, but you're not going to win football games consistently with that approach when you're not executing, when the explosive play is there to be executed upon, especially when you have guys who are getting open. Malik Neighbors, he's getting open. Darius Slayton, he's getting open. But the Giants are relying on throwing the ball to Wan'Dale Robinson 2 yards down the field and have him make like 3 guys miss to get first down. And that approach is not sustainable. You need to be multifaceted as an offense, especially when we went into this game, Dan, and we were like, hey, we're going to run the football. We're going to run the football. Well, guess what? Dallas actually had a run defense today, and they shut the Giants down. And the Giants' quick passing attack was working. But when they had those opportunities to capitalize against that secondary, they just could not connect. And that is, look, you kick 5 field goals in a game where you possess the ball for what, 10, 12 minutes more than Dallas Cowboys. Like, it's insane. Like, so much went well for the Giants, but the one thing that didn't is the thing that ends up biting them in the ass. And that's just not scoring touchdowns. You score touchdowns in this league.
Right. And I don't want to take away from the importance of those drop passes. There were a lot of drop passes in this game by the Giants receivers, but none of those drop passes were in the end zone. And I think that goes to your point that you made. Those drop passes, they would have, at times, the Neighbors one obviously kept the drive going. Other ones would have kept the drive going. The Slayton drop at the end of that one drive, among others. But they weren't going to score. They weren't guaranteed to score 7 points. There were no guarantees for 7 points, with the exception of a few plays. The early offsides that Jones did a great job of drawing, where Slayton had 4 steps on the defender. If the ball's just out in front of him, that's an early, easy 7. And the Neighbors play, which was another early, easy 7. Even the first Neighbors 39-yard completion, dude, that's not a good throw. That throw doesn't maximize yards. He's falling away. He's doing everything he can to slow his momentum and stop and catch the ball. Like, those are 3 opportunities you just can't miss. And then the final Slayton one, everyone's like, Slayton should have caught it. Yes, he should have caught the ball. But the dude has to adjust to a pass that's inside. He's falling to the ground. Catch it, fine. But put the ball out and ahead of him. And I know he got hit on that one. Fine, it's the only one without a clean pocket. But God forbid I want somebody who can get the freaking ball out there on time ahead of the receiver to the outside shoulder for a touchdown occasionally. Like, I'm not going to apologize for wanting that. And no one should, because look, as I said at the end of the game, Jones was very efficient in this game, Nick. You are right. And the Giants have designed an offense that is predicated on Jones' efficiency. We've seen it the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks in a row now. He's been a very efficient quarterback on these short throws. He's done a good job of navigating the pocket. His ball placement has been better on the short short throws. His timing has been better on the short throws. He had a couple medium throws, that dig route to the Neighbors. That's his bread and butter, Jones, off the play action. He loves that throw. He finally rips it in with velocity. It's the only time it ever looks good coming out of his hand. And I mean really good, like a Herbert style good, like what you really want from the quarterback. A rip on time, accurately. That's the only throw where it looks like that. On all of his tape, doesn't throw the short, doesn't throw anything like that but that. But look, all that said, with as efficient as he was in this game, if you can't throw the deep ball and you can't take advantage of the opportunities that you discussed, Nick, and the defense knows that you're not going to hit the deep ball, you're limited as an offense. And I know there's not a lot of deep balls in today's NFL in general, but you know what, Nick? There were opportunities tonight for some deep passes and they were missed, but that's not the whole story of the game. Obviously, the drop passes were horrible. The penalties were horrible. The run defense was non-existent for the Giants until the end. The run offense, the Giants couldn't get going despite the Cowboys struggling. So there are plenty of reasons to lose this football game. But in the end, it just feels like the opportunities Giants have, they just never cash in on, man.
No, they never cashed in on them. And look, man, what did we say during this week? And I know we didn't do that preview episode. I did have Dallas winning this game, but the Giants actually held to the script other than running the football that we wanted them to, because they were efficient on offense and they were able to keep Dallas off the field. And they won the time of possession, right? They didn't have these dumb turnovers, and Daniel Jones didn't shoot himself in the foot regarding making like bad plays, forced fumble, interceptions, and all that kind of stuff. And yet they still just couldn't, like, it's just it's like so much with this team. It's like, oh, wow, they can do everything right except for that one thing. And then they just can't find a way to score a damn touchdown. And that ended up being the nail in the coffin for this team. And this is just like another like demoralizing way for the Giants to lose a football game. It's just, you get held to 5 field goals, and now they have a field goal. 2 weeks ago, they didn't even have a field goal kicker, couldn't kick a field goal, and they lose in another unique way. It's just, there's always they always find another way to lose these football games. And defensively, you want to see more pressure on Dak Prescott, but I'm not even looking at like the defense too much, because it just seemed like the Giants offense had the football for so freaking long. In this game, they still couldn't find a way to actually get in the end zone after being so efficient last week in the red zone against the Browns with the 2 Malik Neighbors touchdowns, right? He had the Devin Single. He had 3 touchdowns in the red zone against a really good defense last week on the road. This week against a defense that was struggling, that was giving points to New Orleans and Baltimore. They couldn't figure out how to actually punch it in. Very frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Giants didn't punt the ball until like mid to the end of the third quarter in this game. But despite not punting the ball, they had 12 points to show for it at the time. And I think that's the point. Like, for those who are really frustrated by this, and I know there's such a disconnect on what some Giants fans see and what others see, I'm not sitting here blaming Jones, and Nick's not doing that either. We're not like, this is Jones's fault for why the Giants lost the game. But when you don't make these deep throws and they're available to you, it's the difference between 8 points there, because those 2 drives that ended in field goals, the one Slayton, that one should have been an easy TD on the third down. It's not like it's just that easy. It's that, like, you need to take advantage of these as a team. Like, when you get that opportunity, it's an offsides and he has 4 steps of separation. There's no safety help to the right side. All you have to do is kind of put it out and to the right and let him run under it. And then the Neighbors one is a great design by Daboll. He gets the perfect call for the perfect situation. You're only going to get that once a game. That Neighbors one, you're only getting once a game. You design it, you call it, it's perfect. There's all that space toward the left boundary. You just have to have the arm talent to get the ball out there. And they keep calling that play, Nick, despite 2 weeks in a row, the ball dying on both of them. And in training camp, when they ran it, the ball died on the video we saw. I don't know why Daboll has all the confidence in the world to keep calling that play. At this point, I just take it out of the playbook for now. Until,
they didn't have are you talking about a tight end leak play? They didn't. I don't.
No, I'm talking more. I'm sorry. The tight end leak play was. It's not the
you're
same.
You're talking about the double move on the first drive, right?
I'm talking about the double move on the first drive, but I am referring to the tight end leak because it's the same idea of where he has to roll to the right and then plant and throw back to the left. That's where he really seems to be lacking the most of his arm talent and whatever you want to call it, arm strength, because that ball was also kind of hung up in the air and Neighbors had to break up the interception against Cleveland. But then there was the one in training camp where he threw all the way across and Neighbors was cutting across the red zone and the ball just died up for the corner. I just take these throwbacks for Jones out of the playbook completely for now, until I guess he gets healthier or whatever with this, whatever the reason is for these deep balls. But look, it's not his fault that they lost this game. He played efficiently, like Nick said. He's operating the game plan. He had good pocket management. He made some really good decisions and plays. The Neighbors' 4th down throw was a good job by him. He bought time, got the ball to the right spot. It's a drop. The Slayton 3rd and 14, the drive before, he got hit. It's a fine throw. It's not the best throw. It's fine. Slayton has to catch that. There's all these situations. He played pretty fine, but like, just think about it like this. Instead of like being like, you're blaming Daniel Jones or you're not blaming Daniel Jones, instead of it's either his fault or it's not. Let's just think about this. What's our ceiling long-term with a quarterback who can't challenge the deep half? What is the ceiling? And when we don't make these plays when they're there, what is our ceiling? And how can our ceiling be anything different than it's been the last 6 years? It doesn't feel like it can be. And I just don't understand why people can't come to grips in terms with this idea of the ceiling versus the floor. An efficient game plan, an efficient game managing type quarterback who's completing a million passes, but everything's 4 yards. That's good. That's going to work sometimes, but you need to come up with the big plays in the big moments too. That's like part of that whole plan. Like, you can't have no punts and 12 points through the middle of the second, third quarter and be like, that's a recipe for success, because it's just not. I mean, you could blame the defense all you want in this game. A lot of Giants fans are blaming the defense, Nick. But in the end, what'd they give up? 15 points in this game? 17 points? What did the Cowboys have in this game? 20 points? I'm sorry, 20 to 15. 20 points in a game? Like, that's 20 points. It is what it is on that front. Like, we know the secondary issues that we're going to have, and they showed up in this game, but you're supposed to be able to win around that by making big plays when they're available to you. And the Giants did not come up big on any of the plays between the drops and the underthrows. Those were the two. To me, you can blame the run defense and the run offense all you want. That's only a minuscule part of what happened. The real factor here to me were the drops and the underthrows.
I agree. And the game plan was interesting too. Look, the Giants, it was, I think, like the end of the third quarter, maybe the beginning of the fourth quarter. And I was watching next gen stats on Prime Vision. They came up with the Giants had a 0% success rate running the football on design runs, but they kept trying to run the football. And I feel like it did spring some opportunity through the play action passing attack, which we saw late in the second half. And I didn't mind that game plan with the way the game was kind of evolving and going. They were keeping everything close. Like, look, Dallas scored on they scored 2 touchdowns on the first 3 possessions. I think it went 3 and out first, and then they scored 2 touchdowns, and the Giants went down, what was it, like 14-6, I think, after that CeeDee Lamb touchdown. After that, Giants defense solidified. We saw Cordell Flott come up with some big plays. We saw Kayvon Thibodeau come up with some big plays. So we want to look like positively towards the defense a little bit. There are players who this season, like, I've been very hard on Cordell Flott. I would say rightfully so. And even after his one good play to Brandon Cooks, he goes and surrenders the same exact play to Jalen Tolbert. So you do know that the Cowboys circled him. Like, yeah, we're going to target 28 on these comebacks and try to, like, take advantage of his click and close. But then Kayvon Thibodeau, he looked better than Brian Burns in this game so far, right? Like, so there are some positive takeaways defensively. I don't think Deonte Banks is the player who we should be able to look at and be like, yeah, you got that one-on-one match. He's going to lose that sometimes. And that was also just an excellent play by Dak Prescott, because the Giants tipped their hand a little bit. They had the safety behind the apex defender. The apex defender jumped before the snap, like kind of showing he was blitzing. So that confirmed to Dak Prescott, the Giants are going to bring a blitz, meaning it's probably going to be single high, meaning I have a one-on-one matchup with CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
And that looked the safety, I think it was Tyler Nubin off, and then just hit CeeDee Lamb, and Lamb did the rest. So
it was good ball placement as well by the quarterback.
Yeah, and he had a lot of
and a bad angle by Nubin. A bad angle by Nubin on that play.
Was a bad angle by Nubin. But defensively, I thought McLeod looked great in run support. He looked good when he was out there. There are some positive takeaways.
Defense was really good, pretty much.
Yeah, they held a lot of field goals. And then the Giants ended up having an opportunity to win the game towards the end, because Brandon Aubrey missed like a 47 or 48-yard field goal.
And even before that, they had multiple opportunities toward the end of the game before that, with the Slayton drop on the 3rd and 14, and among other things. It's just like, this is the story. There are a lot of silver linings in this game. Kayvon had an amazing game in prime time. Felt like he was held all the time. They called some of them. They didn't call all of them. Cowboys offensive line was a disaster in this game by the Giants, but defensive line, I thought they did a good job winning that battle. The Giants O-line, again, it shows up, dude. The pass protection on some of these plays was phenomenal. There was a play in the middle of the game where Jones hit Neighbors on like a 15-yarder over the middle. Jones was like sitting back there for 15 seconds on a deep drop, and there was no one in sight. I feel like for most of the game, he got hit a little bit on that Slayton deep throw. But outside of that, the other 3 deep throws, clean pockets for deep passes, hard to find. The dig route, clean pocket, like just clean pockets left and right by the Giants against, again, like, it was one thing when it was the Washington pass rush, but when it's Myles Garrett in the Cleveland pass rush and then Micah Parsons in the Dallas pass rush, and I know DeMarcus Lawrence was hurt in this game as well, so like part of it, he didn't play the full game. But these are teams that used to demolish the Giants pass protection, just demolish them. And we've seen like insane noticeable progress from the Giants pass protection from one offseason to this. Like, this is a big deal going forward. I know this year it is what it is at 1-3. This was kind of the game they need to win. They'll keep fighting. They'll win some games. We'll see what happens. It's looking a lot like it's probably going to be like last season, if we're going to be realistic and honest about the situation. But there is reason to believe that this offensive line is in a really good position moving forward. I'm even open to it at this point. I know it's crazy sounding, but like, getting the contract extensions discussed early with Jermaine Illuminor. Like, I like the competency of this right tackle position that I've never seen in so long. I'm so biased by how good it is to feel like having this. And I'm like, extend this dude. Just keep him because I don't know when we're going to find competent right tackle play again. It's taken us so long to find this that like, just give me this over and over again, game after game. I'm in on it. John Michael Schmitz, I want to see the tape on him. I feel like he had a good game as well. Seemed like the interior pocket was intact the entire game. This pass protection is night and day. That's a big factor moving forward. There's no way this team has any chance moving forward, whoever the quarterback is, if their offensive line isn't there. So that's a good sign.
It's an excellent sign. And the Giants really trust that right side of the line of scrimmage in the run game because on these 4th and 1s and these 4th and shorts, they go towards the right side. I think it was the right side on the Malik Neighbors end around or whatever, jet sweep, whatever you want to call it, from last week. And then the Devin Singletary 4th and 1 that was converted. That was right off the ass of Jermaine Illuminor and Greg Van Roten. And, those are big guys who can move, and they've been working together since their time with Carmen Brasillo out there in Las Vegas. So the Giants trust it, but I mean, dude, on the ground, it was abysmal. The Giants, I think they had 1.1 yards per carry. That's what this says right here.
Yep.
Guys did nothing on the ground. Like, we got to get to the all-22 tomorrow morning and see what the hell happened and what Dallas was doing.
I think it might be Dallas committed to the run because there were so many opportunities in the passing game that Dallas afforded the Giants, like these wide open deep throws. I got to imagine Dallas was taking aggressive chance in the run game.
And we saw the Giants go to an RPO approach and a zone read approach to slow down Micah Parsons and to give Daniel Jones options. And Jones was relatively good on those options. There was one where I think he tucked it. It was a really good play by I thought it was a really good play by Marshawn Kneeling because he kind of takes a step inside with his inside foot and like dipped his shoulder in that direction. And that gave, I think, Jones the comfortability to pull it. And then Kneeling just crashed down on him instead of crashing down the line of scrimmage. But the Giants had that RPO built into this game plan as well. And they hit Malik Neighbors on the one for like 5 yards to start off a drive. I think they ended up punting on that drive anyways. But yeah, man, they offensively, I don't look at this game plan and think anything bad of Brian Daboll or the Giants offensive coaching staff. Like, the opportunities were there. The execution wasn't.
I'm the opposite. I think this was a great game, called game by Brian Daboll. First of all, the screens. We have a screen game for the first time in 15 years, thanks to Brian Daboll. I'm pretty sure because
opposite of what exactly?
What are you saying?
Opposite of, I'm agreeing with you. I agreed with you. Yeah.
Oh, opposite.
I said like the game plan was very good by Brian Daboll.
Oh no, I guess the opposite of what some fans I've seen are saying to me.
Oh, okay. Right. People are chastising the game plan.
Yeah, because of, and I think there's two different things: the game plan and the play calling. So the decisions to go for those field goals in some of those 4th down situations is what they're criticizing more, or like focusing more on, which I'm fine to criticize as well, is conservatism in some of those spots. One really stood out to me where he should have definitely gone for it and he didn't, but it's what he wanted to do. It's what he's always kind of done. He's been very conservative in those spots, with the exception of that first Titans game, in his first coaching game ever. But play calling wise, I mean, dude, how many times do you see a coach design that many open deep shots in a game in today's NFL, with how defenses are playing these quarterbacks and how few deep shots we see converted in the NFL or even open in the NFL? That design play to Neighbors wide open. I know it was a blown, offsides, but Slayton was wide open multiple times in the deep half in this game. One was the underthrow that was intercepted and called back, and the other was the one where Slayton had to kind of like dive inside, and I guess he should have caught it. I'm fine with saying he should have caught it, but I also kind of wish the ball was just outside to his right shoulder and ahead of him. Like, I don't know why I'm not allowed to expect that or hope for that at this point. But, I thought in the screens, and I just felt like he called a good game, Daboll. He understands how to design ways to get Neighbors open despite him being the focal point in the offense. Run game, people are blaming Daboll for the run scheme. I'll wait to see the tape for that one, Nick. I want to see what the Cowboys did, and I want to see what the Giants tried to do there before blaming Daboll for that.
I see people bashing the red zone play calling. I'm going to have to go back and watch some of that. But I thought the one play to Wandale was a good concept because it seemed like that entire drive, it was so much focus on one. It was so much focus on Malik Neighbors. So they put Malik Neighbors in the condensed set, run him at 2 defenders, get Wandale in space. Wandale, man, he's slowly or maybe quickly becoming one of the better yak type of players. I mean, this guy's ADOT is so small, and he's able to typically make that man miss. There was the one play though where he caught it at the sticks and then turned outside, and then he lost like a yard turn. It's like, you just got to get.
That was his one mistake, and he's been so good with understanding space when he makes those catches. I'm dating back to last year's tape too, to understand like where to get vertical and to get toward the stick. So I'm going to give him a pass for one bad. He also had the drop. I mean, there were a lot of drops in this game. That one looked interesting because it's a drop, and I'm blaming him. Whatever, always blame the receiver 100%. We all hate the drops. It's always on the receiver, but like, I felt like that was a concentration issue too. you. The DB was in a good spot. I felt like he saw it late. He still has to catch it, obviously,
Oh
but he
yeah,
saw that
no,
one late.
no,
Yeah,
100% that would be on the receiver. I was wondering if you were going to
100%.
bring up the contact because there was contact. It didn't seem
Oh,
too
on that by
egregious.
the DB? Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't seem too egregious, but we've seen worse.
Well, we didn't talk
Call.
about that yet either, dude, because,
Dude,
like, look, the face mask on Daniel Bellinger to start
what
the
the hell?
drive, and I don't wanna blame refs for any loss. The Giants had
Yeah,
way more than enough opportunities to win this game
exactly.
on the offensive side of the ball by not kicking a field goal every freaking time. So I definitely don't wanna blame the refs entirely for this game or even to any large extent. But I will say this, Nick, that face mask call is egregious. It's obviously, Herb Street broke it down, not a face mask. If anything, you could argue it was a face mask on the Cowboys, which is a 30-yard swing. And I'm not saying the Giants would have scored that drive because obviously they weren't efficient once they got down. So maybe it would have been a field goal anyway, but you never know. And they had momentum at that point. It was right after the Malik Neighbors 39-yard catch. That could have been a 4-point swing for the Giants that might have mattered. And then the Cowboys' first touchdown, there's 2 flags on the field. I'll wait to see it on tape. I don't know. But then they just take their time and then pick up those flags. It just be consistent, right? Like, I'm not asking you to get every call right, but if you're going to take your sweet ass time to make sure if that call was a block in the back or holding on the Cowboys, oh no, it actually wasn't, then take your time to get buzzed down in from New York and the control center, whoever that is, and be like, oh, you guys got it wrong. Bellinger didn't face mask him, and this is so wrong that you can't keep this call. Talk about it, waste time, and then make the right call.
Yeah, you want it to be a quick and efficient operation, but like I just don't understand how the guy screwed that up because it was so obviously a face mask on the Dallas Cowboys player. It wasn't like, oh, it might have been. It was
And they took
very
their sweet ass
clearly.
time.
It was very clearly a face mask on that. Now the other one got called back because I guess it was reviewed and then they could call it. But like it did seem like Kayvon got tugged by Guyton
Right.
towards like away from Rico Dowdle, which allowed Dowdle to spring free. Either way, like that Bellinger one was was terrible. Actually funny because you're just like, how the hell, man?
And why are they allowed to review the second one, but they're not reviewing
Because
the
it was a
first
touchdown, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's a good
Yeah.
point. I guess that's by rule that you can do that. I actually didn't know until now that you can review for
Yeah.
flags. I thought it was only like, if it's a touchdown or not, but I guess, when it's the Cowboys, you're allowed to. No, I'm just kidding. I don't believe in any of that stuff. The conspiracy theories.
Papa Steve is definitely saying that right now.
Yes,
My dad,
every dad for sure thinks that there are conspiracy theories. And maybe there are. We'll never know for sure in the NFL or any of this stuff. But man, it's just so disappointing to have all those opportunities, dude, and just and find a way to not make it, to not come up with the big plays when you need them to, I guess is the best way to describe what the Giants were in this game. Do you feel like, where were you at with some of Brian Daboll's 4th down decisions and decisions to kick the field goals and not kind of try to extend some of these drives?
I didn't think it was as terrible as others.
I'm probably
Because
with you on this one too.
because and usually I am a little bit more aggressive minded, I think, but it also depends on the context of the game. And at that point in the game, when he was going for it on 4th down or not going for it or electing to kick the field goal, the game was relatively close. The Giants were moving the football and the defense was solidifying and they were forcing field goals. I can understand the one. I can't remember exactly when it was in the game. People being like, oh, you should go for it there. But the Giants weren't being great on 3rd down in certain situations. Like they were efficient, yes, but then they would need that play on 2 downs and they would miss it. Just take the points at that and then not give Dallas the football at like the 35-yard line if you don't end up getting it or what have you. So I wasn't as big of a critic of that.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
The one final one in the red zone was the only one that I had an issue with. And I think I saw what do they call it? That they have a funny name for it. The coward index. Is that what they call it? I think they call it the coward index online. Have you seen this where it's like, was the coach cowardly or not? And the percentage leaned toward you should go for it in that spot. I forgot what the situation, 4th and 3, maybe, but in the red zone. Typically for me, my general thoughts on these are always, I have a very tried and true strategy for it, Nick. If you're in the red zone and you're down in there, like 12-yard line, 11, 10, or even further in, I always want to go for it in those spots because my process is, even if you don't get it, you put the offense in a tough spot. They're backed up. They're limited in their play calling. And you might be able to get the punt back and be right back in field goal range. So you're really losing almost nothing if you can get a defensive stop. Now, obviously, the Giants weren't relying as much on defensive stops at that point, but they got some stops at the end of this game.
Yeah. So it's it was 14-9 and they kicked it to make it 14-12.
That one, yeah.
That's the one that I think I peeked my brow out as well. But it was still early in the game too.
Yeah.
And the game
It
was,
was very early. There was so few possessions in this game. The Giants just ground clock out. Giants' strategy has been really interesting this year. They've been just like a very short passing game, really just taking advantage of how unguardable Malik Neighbors is, and then taking advantage of just all the space that like Malik Neighbors affords them, because you have all these underneaths for Wandale and like so much space to work with, because like there's the tension is all over on Neighbors. And it's like even that red zone play where I thought they were going to go for it on fourth, and this was that possession. I thought the reason I didn't like the decision was I felt like his second and third down calls were to set up a fourth down go for it.
fair.
And then when he didn't, I was like, then what was the point of those? But I kind of still understand his idea of like the design on third down there, like all the attention on Neighbors. You saw 3 Cowboys defenders around Neighbors, but I just feel like it's a little risky. There's not that much space to work with there. I think if you do that play, you need like one of the rare like Stafford type quarterbacks who can like rip that ball out there on a line. So like, because you have no room to work with, right?
Yeah.
Like you would need to get that ball out to the receiver insanely fast, lead him perfectly in stride, and there's like no margin for error on that Wandale play. And so outside of that though, again, like it's an efficient offense. We've been efficient for 3 weeks now. We were scoring touchdowns the other 2 weeks, but this week they weren't. And that's basically the difference in this game. When you just settle for 5 field goals in a game, it's so hard to win. The Washington Commanders found and how crazy is this, Nick? How stupid is this that this is our life? We had the same thing happen 2 weeks ago. The other team was the team that just couldn't score a touchdown and had to settle for field goals every time. And they won the freaking game. And now this is the same situation, but we lost the game. We controlled the clock the whole game. It's just ridiculous that the Giants are 0-2 out of these Washington and Dallas games, because at minimum, they should have been 1-1. At minimum, we all watched it. We all saw it with our own eyes. To go 0-2 in that stretch, let alone not 1-1 or 2-0, it's just the difference in these types of seasons, dude. And it's why it's just repeated. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this whole rest of the season now, as they fall to 1-3.
Yeah, that kick in the field goal, I wanted to go back to that because now that I'm looking at it right in front of me, they threw a short, incomplete pass to Wandale Robinson, ran the football on 2nd and goal, only got 2 yards, and then picked up 5 yards on that Wandale Robinson play that we've referenced a couple of times. That set them up at 4th and goal at the 3. So that is certainly one where I'm like, again, though, there was like more than 9 minutes left in the third quarter, and it was a 14-9 game. So that makes me be like, okay, if you want to lean conservative, I'm probably not going to kill you for it. But that definitely has to come up in the coward index, though.
Yeah, it did. But it wasn't as egregious as you would think. It was just like a slightly, definitely, you should go for it, but not by like in a crazy margin. I think it's all just depending on the person. Like for me, I'm in the camp of you always go for it because of what I said earlier. Like worst case, they take over on their own 3 and you're fine.
Yeah, let's hope Malik is going to be okay. Luckily, the Giants have 10.
Yeah,
concussion. He left the game. You see his head hit the ground, and
that
right
was
away,
scary. I was really scared. Malik took a lot of big hits in this game. So what we're finally starting to see is, look, this whole offense is designed to get these short passes out to Malik. But I feel like in the last 2 weeks, especially this week, we're starting to see much bigger hits on Malik. A lot of throws that are caught, but then he's immediately in harm's way because there's so many eyes focused on him. Even times I saw the Cowboys tonight, and we'll see this on tape, Nick, and I'm interested to get your take on it when you do see this. Cowboys kind of bluffing some of their coverages and like leaking and having guys with like not looking like they got their eyes on Malik, but then having their eyes. And the minute he catches, driving right toward Malik,
100%.
just crunching him. And this dude took a lot of really hard hits and he just kept getting up from every single time. I thought he was injured at least 2 other times. Then finally the last one looked like a really bad one. And this is what's going to happen when you have this design, like where you're just designing a whole offense around one player. I mean, what did he have tonight? 9, 10 targets. I think it was over 10 targets again. Like he's going to lead the NFL in targets clearly. And so many of these are short passes where the defense is just crunching on you because they're obviously know you're the whole offense.
He had 15 targets, 12
15 targets, not 10. That was crazy. I mean, it's insane. He's going to be the easy lead leaguer in targets. We're talking about potentially like getting to like 175, 180 targets if he can stay healthy. And a lot of these, again, are crunch hitting targets. So I hope they can keep him healthy. I hope they're just not going to grind him into the ground with this stuff.
Wandale had 14 targets, caught 11 of them for just 71 yards.
What do we say? It's the most concentrated passing attack in the entire NFL, the Giants. Like they came into this game with Malik Neighbors, number 1 targets per route run. Number 7 was Wandale in the whole league. And they don't even pass the ball that much before this game. Now 29 targets between the two of them. That's insane.
One thing I did appreciate by Brian Daboll's play calling is like now that the Giants actually have a functional offensive line, dare I say a good pass protecting offensive line, they played that way through the last 3 weeks. they have been taking those deep shots off double moves several times. Like the
Several.
double move, that double move should have been a touchdown to Malik Neighbors to start, right? And
Right.
that was a sick. And you saw how the cornerback Andrew Booth played it. He just drove down because the Giants are a quick hitting offense. So now you gas that because you have time to throw the football. There was another play, I think, early in the second quarter, or Malik Neighbors, or maybe it was Tyrone Tracy. I can't remember who it was, but they were flaring out and they were actually going to be like a little like stalk blocking play, get the football to your playmaker and have him pick up yards. The Giants ran that play a couple times against the Browns. And instead, they targeted someone deep, and I might have been Neighbors, but I just appreciate having that aggressive mindset, that attacking mindset. Hyatt plays into that, but dude, that guy just cannot see the football field right now.
Yeah,
it's wild, man.
I think you said it best a week ago, Nick, or at this point it all blends together. But the blocking from Slayton has the telltale story of why Hyatt can't get on the field and won't get on the field anytime soon. At least I thought that was a great point by you. And then Hyatt's had a lot of mistakes, man. I mean, I'm sorry, Slayton's had a lot of mistakes, man. Like the drops tonight were not good by Darius Slayton.
He's playing with like half a thumb.
He's playing with like half a thumb. I'm sure that factored in, but like, then why are you playing him so much? That's maybe a question for the coaches because it looked like he was impacted by it for sure. The drops have been bad throughout his career, but they had been better last year, and started to see a downtick and start a downward trend again for Slayton with the drops.
Then we had that deep shot out of empty to Tyrone Tracy. I know that probably excited
I thought
you.
That's
right?
I thought that was the play you were referring to. No, you're talking about a different one.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, just in general, like using him in that manner, especially if you can get him isolated, if you can get him isolated against a linebacker.
That was another opportunity they missed. I think they had a penalty on that one though for like a legal formation, or they weren't set before they called it.
Yeah, that was the one where Theo Johnson wasn't set.
Okay,
looking at Tyrone Tracy because they motioned to that formation.
Yeah, but definitely what we want to see. Sorry, I have a sneeze coming.
Let's let Dan get this out. I'll get to a super as you sneeze. Oh, he got through it. Okay. Kyle Kilday. Kyle, thank you so much. He says, if we see more underthrown deep balls to Slayton after he's cooked the DB and we lose next week, need to bench DJ and protect 2025 cap. He's simply not good enough to elevate this team. Praying Mara doesn't stand in the way.
Kyle, thank you so much for the donation. This was a massive donation. We do appreciate these bigger ones for sure. And we appreciate any donation. Anyone wants to help us support the show, even if it just means hitting like right now. That's big support. Like if you're watching this live right now, or you're watching the recap tomorrow or tonight later, or whenever your commute is in the morning, please hit this like button right now. I'm going to beg for it. I really need your help. Hit the like button and comment and a like. It's, I'm going to come up with a little slogan, a comment and a like, little song here, a little dandy doodle.
Children's song.
It was returning to a children's song. Maybe I can do like a little Grateful Dead riff off of it. Try to come up with a comment and like do comment and like. This is a little Franklin's Tower type riff. If you didn't pick that up, and it was horrible, so I wouldn't blame you if you didn't. But please comment and like. Thank you for the comment. To Kyle's point, I don't think they're going to bench Jones anytime soon to protect the 2025 cap. And what Kyle's referencing, Nick, obviously you know, Nick, but just in case anyone doesn't know, is Daniel Jones is an injury guarantee. So if he does get another season-ending injury and can't pass his March physical, the Giants are on the hook for $25 million dead cap next year. But I don't think they're thinking about that at all, dude. With all these design runs they've called for him, and they're letting him keep it, and he's taking these shots game after game. I think what they're thinking about right now is, how do I keep my job, Brian Daboll? How do I keep my job if I'm Joe Schoen? And they believe Daniel Jones is the best bet to keep their job. And I'll say this, despite the fact that he's limited the offense by not being able to complete a deep pass or come anywhere close on these, I still think he gives them a better chance to win than Drew Lock. I think he's going to be more on time in the passing game. I think he's going to get on these short throws. He's going to get the ball out faster. He's going to be better at managing the pocket. He's got more better legs than Drew Lock has. He can do more on the ground. He is probably a little bit more accurate than Locke is at all levels besides the deep half. So they're going to be thinking like that. Who gives me the best chance to win? And it's Daniel Jones. So I think, at some point, he's going to have to hit one of these deep balls. Like, they can't be this horrible. I saw coming into this game, he was 1 of 9 on them, Nick, with a minus 20% completion over expected rate. Like, must have been the worst deep ball throw. And nobody needs those stats to see. If you watch the tape or watch the broadcast, you can see how horrible the deep ball. Last week, he had Malik Neighbors wide open on a slot vert and just missed him. And this week, we obviously saw what happened. But I don't think they're judging him on his deep balls right now, Nick. I think they're just like, you're moving the offense. It's fine. You're completing most of your passes. Drew Lock will probably be late if he comes in late with the ball, not getting it out on time, and maybe losing some accuracy in the short range. So they got to stick with Jones in their mind to help them win games. They're going to try to win, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. Maybe nine's a stretch at this point, but 6, 7 games to try to keep their jobs. And that's the reality of the NFL. They're not thinking about next year.
And the crappy thing too, man, is you mentioned the one completion that he had. Which completion was that? That was the one where Malik Neighbors took the ball away from Martin Emerson
from an interception. That was the one deep pass he completed. Yeah.
If this was just a one game thing, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But Jones has been really bad targeting the deep portions of the field this entire season, and we all see it. And it's just like that's leaving so many.
And it doesn't look like it's bad. I'll ask you on this, Nick. Let's get into a little bit of an analysis on this. I was asked so many questions about this in the game.
I want to say one thing before we get into this, though, because you brought up a good point about the lock Jones thing. Like Jones right now is like in command of the offense.
Yeah.
He's making plays. He's going through progressions. He's keeping the offense on.
Dude, we could even make the case that let me let you finish the point, and then I'll make that point.
No. I think my point is going to bleed right into the point you were just about to make. Like, there is a case to say, like, yeah, Daniel Jones is doing a good job quarterbacking, but you need to take advantage of the opportunities when they're there. And that, to me, is more important than just keeping the offense efficient and on script. And that's kind of what I opened the show with.
Yeah, you did open the show with that, and it was great. And it was gonna bleed into my point, because I was gonna say, I almost feel like he's reading the offense better than he has in his entire career, including the Shermer days that everyone loves to reference, when they just gave him half field, high low for the most part, and just it was very simplified game plans. Like, right, and then 2022, don't even bring that up. It was just bootleg bullshit offense. Like, he's actually getting the thing is, he missed all these deep throws, Nick, but he recognized them, right? Like, he knew he had Slayton on that. He knew he had Neighbors on that. He knew he had Neighbors on the other. He's recognizing things so much better than he ever has. So he's actually reading the field and commanding the offense mentally better than he ever has.
We got a great comment here, by the way, from your average fans. Jones is looking better at quarterbacking, except when he has to throw it. That's how bad we are as Giants.
That's what it comes down to, though, because like his mind is working. It's really interesting where they're at with this, because he's commanding this offense and reading it better than he ever has. His mind is working better than he ever has. He looks more comfortable in the pocket even than 2022 to me. I really do feel that way, that he's managing and manipulating these pockets better. I think he's getting the ball out on time more than he ever has. Ever, dude. I know a lot of these are short passes, but the ball is out so much quicker from his hands. There's so many fewer examples of us watching him stand in that pocket like we've seen for the first 5 years, standing, and then it's blame it on the O-line. There's so many fewer examples of that. And the accuracy's been better in the short area and intermediate range. I feel like we've seen less balls that are behind the wide receiver, or like horrible positions, so they have to like so they minimize yak. But at the same time, with all that said, Nick, I am not sold that he still is an NFL arm in the deep half. And that's what I want to get to.
He hasn't proven it this season at all. And I don't think you can really make a realistic argument that he has.
No, I think everyone agrees that he hasn't. But the question becomes, and a lot of people ask about this, how much of this is the ACL recovery and the timing and all this stuff?
All that stuff, dude. I don't know.
And I guess we can't answer that, even though it is the most important question to answer. We can't answer that because we're not doctors and we have no idea. And we didn't play quarterback, so we haven't like recovered from an ACL as a quarterback. Yeah. But I don't know how much of a factor it honestly would be, Nick. It doesn't feel to me like it would be a major factor. I just don't think he's ever been as good of a thrower of the football as a lot of Giants fans feel that he is, and have in their memory hole that he is. I just never thought he threw a great football. Like Justin Herbert throws a great football. Matthew Stafford throws a great football. You could see, I hope these people who watch football can see with their eyes what it looks like to throw a football well. He's never looks comfortable in the deep half. He's either aiming it on that Malik Neighbors 39-yarder, Nick. That was a pure aim job. Horrible. And it's not natural. Or he's overthrowing it like he did the first few weeks, or scared to overthrow it. So he's like short arm underthrowing it.
That's the point I was about to make, is all these throws are not underthrown, because he's missed a lot of overthrows as well. And I'm wondering, like, we didn't, I don't want to say we didn't make excuses for it. I don't believe that's the case, but it's like, is it a timing thing with his younger receivers? Is it that? But we just now with the 4-game sample size and like 8, 9, maybe 10, 11, 12 deep throws, 20 plus yards, 25 plus yards. And not really any of them have been catchable other than the one that Malik Neighbors stole from Martin Emerson Jr.
Right. Yeah, and that could have been intercepted easily if Neighbors didn't make an
If
insane play on the ball.
Neighbors wasn't Neighbors, that would have been
And there are a
intercepted.
few that really hung in the air, dude. Even the last play of the game that was intercepted, like that was not a good sign that that ball just hung in the air and it was underthrown and then intercepted. I know it's the end of the game, but like
Yeah.
it's just a pure arm talent thing. I just don't really feel ever confident and comfortable that that ball's going to get out there ahead of the receiver, hit him in stride, and go to the outside shoulder because it simply and almost essentially never does. And it's to the point, dude, where like some of these throws are just really, really ugly and hang in the air and don't look like like almost look like, remember when I always used to say, like, oh, like I don't have faith in DeVito because I don't think he can challenge the deep half because I don't think he has the arm talent for it. I never felt that way about Jones. I never liked Jones' arm the way some fans do. I always felt it was an overrated arm, but I always felt it was adequate. I think at this point in the deep half, it's worse than adequate. It's at that level of like the Tannies and the DeVitos who just can't get it to the outside shoulder, can't get it ahead of the receiver, and can't time it up for whatever reason. It's a timing thing, like you said, but like again, like why does everybody say like it used to be so good? We never saw in stride touchdowns our whole life watching this guy. Like, do
Yeah.
you guys think the timing was at any point good? You're referencing like a few Golden Tate seam balls from 2019. Like, come on, get a grip with this thing. Watch other quarterbacks and come back to me. Like, I'm okay with you guys saying all these other things he does well and that we're misremembering or not giving credit for. But the deep ball has just not been the way people have described it to be.
No, it hasn't been, unfortunately. I'm going to get to Jake Schnetzer, if I'm saying that correctly. Thank you so much, buddy. Says, yo, honestly, where the F is Hyatt? And why the F did we draft him? Good pod as always. Shake my head. Shake my head. Yeah, no, we're all shaking our heads right now, Jake. Look, we went over this last week. Slayton is above Hyatt on the depth chart, and he's going to play, and they're going to put Hyatt out there and they're going to take maybe a shot to him if the defense presents an opportunity. But right now, he's just relegated to the bench. He's playing like 10 snaps a game. It does kind of suck, especially after the steady drumbeat for him during the offseason. But hey, man, that's football, I guess.
I had a funny comment here from Mozaki. He said Daniel Jones has also probably never heard of Stone Temple Pilots. So a little shout out to Fantasy Football Today podcast where I said I never heard of the Stone Temple Pilots. Nick, have you heard of them?
Yeah, of course.
So I thought I had never heard of them. And then I listened to like 3 songs. Adam made me a playlist. So I was like, oh, I know like 17, the first 20 lyrics to all of these songs. I had heard them millions of times. I just never knew the name of the band.
In your defense, that is like Stone Temple Pilots to me as well.
Okay.
I can sit here and like rattle off all their songs, but I'll listen to a song and be like, oh, who sings that? Stone Temple Pilots. Like, oh, yeah, I knew that. You know, like that's, I'm kind of similar in that vein.
I feel a little better about that then. But yeah, thank you, Jake. Again, appreciate the donation. And yeah, the Hyatt situation, I guess. I think Nick nailed it. I think it's just a blocking issue with Slayton, and they have 4 receivers on this team.
But the interesting thing about that too is they used Hyatt on the 4th down play,
right?
Block. Like he was the wide receiver blocking, and that was a crazy run by Devin Singletary. The best run by far. Like he had like 2 dudes draped on him. Like those are the plays that Devin Singletary affords you. But he also fumbled the football on that play where he got hurt.
Like, well, we got lucky that was considered not a fumble. I kind of think like the ball was out and moving. But then
out and moving, and then it stuck kind of to his bicep a little bit, and then it hit the deck and it rolled out. And I was like, that
we should get that call occasionally, but being a Giants fan, I felt like we were going to get screwed on that. My dad, shout out Ron Schneider, he was like, oh, I'm going to get so mad if these refs don't give us this fumble. Like he was fed up at that point with the refs. He was like, one more, I know how he is, like one more mistake by these refs, and he was about to explode. And
I understand it. I understand. I feel like the Cowboys, I mean, dude, I'm sure every team can play this game. This is just like salty fan type shit, you know, but probably. I remember the DRC like pass interference against the Cowboys, like way back, what was that, like 2016 or 2015 that screwed the Giants. And I don't know, I just feel like they get a lot of calls against us, but that's just salty.
It does feel like that, but again, I know.
But to be fair, the Daniel Bellinger thing is wild. Like I just don't understand how you screw that up.
Just like, you missed by the ref. Yeah,
like that's like funny almost. That's comical. That's comically bad.
Comical.
Chase, under 30 rush yards is unacceptable. Thank you, Chase, for the donation. And I agree. And I
agree. I still don't know how much. I still feel like, again, the major factors were the drop passes by the Giants receivers and the underthrown passes. And they could have won this game without a running game. I really do believe that.
That's Larry Elderstein's point. So I wanted to get to Larry Elderstein's comment. How can you win time of possession by 11 minutes with only 26 yards on the ground?
Well, first of all, his name is Larry Edelstein, not Elderstein. But
my bad. Edelstein. Gotcha, Larry. But seriously, 26 yards on the ground.
Yes.
11 minutes time of possession.
11 minutes, one time possession.
Who would have thought that? What would the odds be on that?
So here's the thing. This is kind of the point I was about to make, Nick, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. Everyone's so mad and worked up about how ineffective the running game was. The Giants' passing game is essentially just an extension of the run game at this point. Don't you guys realize what Daboll's trying to do here with all these short passes? That's why we're able to have over 11 minutes of time in possession. Like, you don't need to run the ball if your whole passing game is just quick, efficient, get the ball out short and let your guys do the rest. And so I'm like, it essentially was a running game. The screens, the passes to Wandale around the line of scrimmage, the passes to Neighbors around the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, but the Giants still ran the football 24 times.
They did still try to run the football a lot. Some of those are Jones runs, but yeah.
No, like 4.
24 for Singletary? Oh, wow.
Yeah, no. Singletary had 14. Jones had 4. Those were on a lot of those were on zone reads. I think there was one design quarterback run. Tracy had 4. Gray had 1, and then Neighbors had his one that was like a passing attempt.
That was weird.
Like, all right, let's chill with that. Like, we're getting creative.
Yeah, we've called that 2 games in a row. So obviously got to put that back in the bag because now it's definitely on tape for opposing DCs. But like both times it didn't look like it had any chance. Also, what I didn't understand, this is such a minor point, Nick, but like last week, Neighbors was like, yeah, coach told me like if that doesn't look like it's, I have the option to throw, but if it's not there, run toward the sideline and throw it out of bounds. It's like, cool, great heads up, smart move. Then this week, he didn't throw it. He just ran right out of bounds for a loss of 4. And I was like, what happened there, dude? Throw it out of bounds. Just get us back that 4 yards.
Dude, I 100% agree. I was saying the same thing. I was like, come on, man. But it's hard to be mad at him because it's like, dude, this is revitalized our franchise. Malik Neighbors is like the one exciting thing about this franchise right now, where like the entire NFL world is talking about him.
Yes.
Like, when is the last time we had
basically like Beckham? It's the same repeat of that same thing, which didn't get us anywhere, but we need to just, there were opportunities tonight. We need to get there. This team has so many opportunities to win this game.
Malik, do not go to South Beach and get on a boat. That's all.
No RVs for anybody on the bye week. But man, just so many opportunities tonight, Nick. And they wasted them. I mean, the silver lining of this is like, look, at least they didn't get blown out by the Cowboys on national TV like they had been. It was a close game the whole game, but just like that, I'm so tired of setting the bar that low.
But the bar is that low. Exactly. Yeah. That's so depressing. That's like
depressing
I feel it though too, because the last time we played Dallas in prime time, we were embarrassed in the laughing stock of the entire league. So now it's like, hey, we were able to possess the football against their defense. Aren't we cool? Like, that's a terrible precedent to set as a Giants fan, man. It's so depressing.
Yeah.
Jimmy Spliff TV, thank you so much, says our quarterback is the problem. 16 play drives are not real.
They're tough. I mean, look, the Giants have been, it's like the Giants, I feel like under Daboll and Shane have been a team that really is reliant in some ways and over-reliant, I should say, Nick, in what has happened in the past will predict future success. So I feel like these last 2 weeks, they've had these long drives and they've cashed in for touchdowns. So now that's just what we're doing. And that's the whole, like,
I disagree.
No, I guess that's not true because we had all these deep shots dialed up.
We had the deep shots. Yeah. In Brian Daboll's DNA, Brian Daboll.
No, I take that. That was a bad take by me. I want that erased off the record.
No. Yeah, dude, I get you. We're trying to rationalize certain things right now. There's emotion going on. No, I fully understand. But Brian Daboll has dialed up deep shots. The Giants can't execute on it. And when that's the case, you got to be smart about when to dial up certain shots because you still want to possess a football and be efficient and keep your offense on script. You don't want to fall into like 2nd and 14, which I felt like the Giants fell into a lot of them and they were able to find their way out of it. And they did that against Cleveland too. This is a team now where they get in a 2nd and 14, they get in a 3rd and 10. Those were death signs, man, back in the past, man, where it's like, oh, with that offensive line, Jones is screwed. Now the Jones and the offense actually find some solutions.
The offensive line gives the quarterback time all game, every game against Parsons, against Garrett type defenses. Like the offensive line has made a huge jump. So
a huge jump. And they give Jones enough time to find Wandale Robinson 5 yards before the sticks to allow Wandale Robinson to make 3 guys miss so he could get close to the first down marker.
Yeah.
Oh, it sucks. All right. Ronald, what's up, Ronald? Thank you so much as always. He said the Slayton drop. He took the time to push off instead of coming back to the ball, then dove. The deep pass Slayton could have caught, but it was short. The one deep pass to Slayton, because it wasn't the one on the PI that was intercepted. The other one, that one was catchable. It was
that's short, the one he's talking about.
Yeah, I know. And Slayton did have to slow up. And there are plays like that where it's like the ball is not optimally placed, but somehow it still like finds a way to hit the receivers in the hands. And you're just like, can you come up with a way to like secure that and bail your quarterback out, even though like, it's frustrating because the quarterback's not optimizing your ability to get yards after the catch and get the statistics that I know you want and that you deserve because you burnt this cornerback. But yeah,
right.
No.
And I think, like, look, Ronald, I agree with you. I think if we look at objectively, Slayton's never been that great at the catch point with his body control and adjusting the football in the air or like in those
Other
spots.
than
But
his rookie season, ironically enough.
yeah, for some reason he used to
Yeah.
be better at it. But what I will say to that is if the ball is he's got two steps on the DB toward the with outside within the DB's inside. So he has all the space to the outside. If that ball is just lofted with touch to the right shoulder on the outside, he will have to adjust in a different way. He'll have to adjust like this over his right shoulder, and it'll be a much easier catch than kind of coming back inside and diving and falling. And I'm sure he did some stuff, like you said, to push off with his hands at the end that wasn't good. But he did that because he had to slow down to the ball, because he had to stop his steps that he had because the ball wasn't going to reach him. So, I mean, again, like, yes, he should catch that, but can't we just ask for and hope for a ball that doesn't require a receiver to slow down and have to do all this stuff with his hands and then dive? Like, put that freaking, like, that should be, it shouldn't be like that much to ask. And you shouldn't be considered a hater to want your quarterback to do that. We should all want that. Everyone should want that.
Everyone should want that. But I also see Jordan McMillan's point. Jordan, thank you so much. He says, no defending DJ deep ball throws. But we don't have an A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, CD, Brandon Cooks, Dallas Goedert. Tough catches need to get made. Now, we do have Malik Neighbors, but I agree with his overall point, right? Like, there are times where, yes, the ball isn't optimally placed. Maybe Jones was getting hit. Jones already doesn't have great deep accuracy. We've seen that and talked about that all throughout this podcast, right? But when the ball is in your vicinity and for whatever reason, the defender doesn't get his hand on it, even though it might be a little bit tough, you're a professional wide receiver. You got to find a way to come down with that ball. That's that Darius Slayton one.
Yeah.
That's that Wan'Dale Robinson one as well. So I agree with Jordan's point here.
Yeah, and I totally agree as well. The receivers have to make plays on the football. I don't know necessarily, besides the one Slayton ball, if it would apply at all to this game. Obviously the
Wan'Dale one, I would say too.
No, I'm just talking about the deep balls.
Gotcha.
Yeah. There's plenty of short underneath throws that the receivers dropped, and that was 100% on the receivers and
100%.
0.
I wanted to get your opinion on this though, dude. We almost had a Meadowlands miracle. How crazy would that have been if it wasn't Wan'Dale and it was another receiver who didn't have 26-inch arms? That might have been like a huge, we would be, this entire podcast.
What are you talking about? Which
on
play?
The Malik Hooker, who's a great.
Oh, when he played it, the same. Oh, when you're talking about what happens with Diggs and the Saints, the Vikings game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Malik Hooker, he has elite range, right? He gets over to Wan'Dale Robinson. He jumps to undercut to get an interception, and he misjumped it. And then Wan'Dale also misjumped it, and it just goes over Wan'Dale's hand. And I'm just like, oh,
that
man.
Could have been the exact same play as the Diggs play. It would have been the exact same thing. He jumped, he the safety misplays it, he catches it, finds himself by the sidelines, so just green grass ahead of him for the game-winning touchdown. Obviously, we're the Giants, so we don't get those things.
That would have been crazy. Ronald also says, response to Slayton push-off comment. It was the 3rd and long. He threw it away from the defender. If he stops and drives to the sideline, it's a catch. Yeah, it's the one I think.
The 3rd and 12 drop. No, yeah, that's definitely on the receiver.
Yeah. That's the one I think. Well, Herb Street, I think, said that's significantly underthrown. And I was like, I don't know about that. That's not what I'm referring to as the underthrown passes in this game.
Yeah, we were talking about all the deep shots, the 2 Slayton deep balls that were obviously underthrown.
And some of those neighbors ones as well.
Yeah, and then the neighbors ones.
Man. Okay, let's see where we're at. Tyler Douglas says, truly not sure how much more I can handle watching games where the offense doesn't score touchdowns. Tyler, thank you so much. And I know, man. At least we got some last week against Cleveland. Again, that's such a down bad comment, bro.
It is. It's our life, though. I will say this, though. Again, there's some serious positive silver linings. The offensive line has taken this insane jump, and it's
very true.
A lot of people look at, showed me some charts this week that said the opposite. I don't care, man, about these charts. These charts, look, first of all, they're not in the bottom half, but Nick and I break down the film, and we put way too much time to just be like, oh, a chart said we were wrong, so that's it. Go watch our film breakdowns. We have them all on this YouTube page. Just do us a favor, watch those, and then come back to me, because we put so many plays up there. You can see the pass protection yourself, and you can check out both of our Twitter accounts too. I'm putting up a lot of film on Twitter these days, and Nick is as well, so you can see the pass protection and all of those. The pass protection is just night and day. I know you guys saw it tonight, though. There was that one play to Neighbors that was Jones just had a sea back there to just stand in. It felt like Dolphins line had parted the seas almost like Moses. So, yeah.
Peter Almo, thank you so much, says, I think we just witnessed Jones's ceiling. He was efficient and poised, made good decisions. He's just not talented enough. Time to turn the page.
That's fair. This is Jones' ceiling. A game like tonight, where right, like he could be 21 of 24, a decent amount of yards, though some on screens, whatever. And it's all underneath stuff. The ball's out faster. He's making good decisions. He's managing the pocket. He's running when he needs to. But when he has the opportunity to make the big play, he doesn't come up with the big play on the deep half, and that's pretty much what he is. Yeah.
I think so. I want to say with ceiling, he connects on some of those. Right.
Oh no, he's going to start making some of these deep throws.
Exactly.
Every single one. Like it's
yeah,
impossible to miss every single of these wide open deep throws. He's going to start hitting on a couple, but I guess the point is like, will he ever do it consistently?
and he's been late with some of these deep throws as well.
Yeah.
It's something that I've noticed, and that's been consistent throughout Daniel Jones's career, unfortunately.
Yep.
But at least he is attempting some of them.
He's reading them too. Like he's seeing them for the
He's
first
time. I would still argue he's a little slow with it.
He's slow to see him, but he used to not even see him at all, dude. Remember all the 2022 tape we broke down where like he was just not even seeing Slayton open on these deep plays, these double moves where he's just not even recognizing it at all.
I think he might have saw him, but he was reluctant to pull the trigger.
Like,
I'm thinking back to like the Seattle game in 2022 where Slayton.
Maybe now he isn't as scared to throw it. He just can't get it there.
He just can't get it there. So that fear that he had before, maybe it was warranted. I don't know, man.
I don't know, man. I just know that it's not a ceiling. It's not a ceiling that you can't win Super Bowls when you can't make deep throws.
Exactly.
And I know everyone's like, somebody responded today, a decent, a good follow. He's like, nobody's throwing deep passes in 2024. Who cares? It's like, but that's not like, first of all, some people still are. Okay. You're watching all 31 other two teams. I'm watching some for Beyond the Box Score. I saw Andy Dalton hit a bunch last week, and that's Andy Dalton. And like people are still hitting. Joe Burrow hit a bunch last week. Jaden Daniels hit 2 last week. Like there's not 0. And then some teams don't even get 4 opportunities like the Giants got tonight. These were 4 beautiful opportunities in the deep half. Some teams goes a whole game without those.
No, yeah, of course.
Connect on them.
Baby. Cliffside. Burns no-showed. Kayvon did well. Is Dex okay? I think Dex I think Dex had like 4 hands on him the entire time.
We'll see on the tape.
Yeah, we'll get back to you. Kayvon did do well from what I saw. And Burns, you didn't really see much of him. It seemed
the run stop was really nice by Burns.
Yeah, exactly. We got to get to the tape to see like what they were doing with Ferguson and with Dowdle and and the corpse of Ezekiel Elliott, who's still out there. So we have to see exactly what's going on. Cliffside.
With Cowboys Brian team does not look good, by the way, as far as like playoffs go. I'm not worried about them hurting our feelings.
Also like how many dropbacks did Dak have where he had the football for more than like 2 seconds?
Not a lot, dude.
Yeah.
Nobody has to do that against the Giants.
Yeah, no, especially when the Giants are playing so far off.
Yeah. True.
I did like how they were aggressively like going after Malik Neighbors and press and would jam. And Neighbors was, trying to work against that. That's going to be something that the Giants have to be cognizant of, get him off the line of scrimmage and move him, which Daboll has done throughout training camp and so far through the short season. Ronald again. The entire team had very few plays above the numbers. Robinson has a couple, but he had a lot of plays he missed. We aren't making plays.
Yep. I think that's fair. The wide receivers had a lot of drops in this game, and the 4 deep shots they had designed, they only hit one of them for 39 yards, and it should have been, Neighbors was open by like 7 steps. It should have been, if you get that ball out in rhythm on time, like I know him, he might cut that across the field and just be gone. I watched it at LSU. I literally watched him with that kind of space take that to the house.
Dude, I was watching it on the Amazon Vision, like the all 20.
Me too. I was watching all Amazon Vision.
I was like, oh, dude, he's wide open. Throw it. Cliffside, thank you so much again. He says, I think Jones has arm strength, but the timing sucks, though. Yeah, I
think it's good arm strength at best.
Yeah,
it really is, and it always has been.
And I think the arm talent is a little bit more of the problem than just the arm strength. Now, they're obviously correlated, but there are times where Jones is like, if you just got to put a little bit of touch on that, and it's just like a line drive in there. Like I think this goes back to like the 2020 season, like the week 2, 2021, I think it was against Slayton Washington.
Yeah.
Slayton ball.
Everyone
blames Slayton, and I agree. Like Slayton, you still got to catch that, but your quarterback's not doing you any favors by putting that much on the ball like that when you can allow him to run underneath.
That's what people don't understand, right? Because like it's still on Slayton for sure, that Washington play. But if that ball's not just hard and flat, and he just puts a little more air under it, the wide receiver can easily just run under it. Like we see, like But you're right though. I don't know if it's all arm strength because sometimes I feel like it's arm strength. The throw to Neighbors tonight. That was hideous. That looked like an arm strength issue. But then last week, he was overshooting all his deep throws. And then the 2 weeks before that against Washington, Minnesota and Washington, he was overshooting his deep balls. So it's like, what is the issue here? The timing, I guess. But like, it's not a timing thing. It's an arm talent thing. People just keep saying it's the timing. It's the ACL. He needs more time. No,
I
this
don't
dude
think
just
it's natural for him, Dan.
it's exactly. He's not a natural thrower in the deep half. Why can't people understand this with their own eyes and see this thing? 6 years of this.
I know, man. Ronald, thank you so much. Ronald, thank you so much again. He says, all aside, Jones has lost what little gun he had.
Yeah, that's fine. If we want to say the injuries have made it worse, I'm sure that's possible. We don't know. We're not doctors, but it's possible that 2 neck injuries, 1 neck surgery, and an ACL have hurt his arm strength for what he had. I don't know. I just don't know. But I would with Nick, I don't think he's ever been a natural thrower.
No. Kevin W., thank you so much. He says, we need a quarterback that can throw a deep pass. Daniel is keeping this offense on training wheels. I mean, I think again, like he keeps it efficient, which is good to some degree, but you need to have a change up. You need to have a curveball and you need to create explosive plays. I feel like that's been the theme of the podcast for years now. Explosive plays. We always say it. And the Giants can't do that because Daniel Jones isn't an explosive thrower.
I'll say this, Nick. It's been the theme of the podcast for a lot of years, but I'm with Kevin here. Until this year, I don't necessarily know that there were opportunities for it because of the offensive line. But now with where the offensive line is at and with some of the designs I've seen from Daboll to get players open on the deep half, it's there. The setup is here. We have the pass protection. We have the play caller. So now it is holding this offense back. Now this is right. Offense is on training wheels. And that's what people have to understand from this point on. Because now that the pass protection's here, there are opportunities to hit these balls in the deep half. And we've seen too many miss this year. Way too many. Multiple to neighbors. Go look at the Washington tape. Go look at last week's tape with the deep ball against Cleveland on the slot vert, and go look at today's tape. And there's been too many opportunities missed. Enough is enough. Yes, this offense is being held back. But at the same time, then he's still super efficient all game, right? Getting the ball out on time, finally feeling comfortable in a pocket, more accuracy than I've seen short from him in years. So like, I mean, this is what they're asking him to do. They just want him to also hit the deep balls. I don't know, man. I'm going in circles in my head. I can't take it anymore. I really just can't. It's hard. It's hard for me to take this much longer.
No, I feel like Giant fans should have a higher standard for what
we need to set the bar higher for this position.
We deserve that. We just watched Eli Manning for so long.
What are we trying to do? Grind our way to 9-8 every year? Come on, wake up. Set a higher bar. All of us. Every one of us.
Exactly. Renee Ruiz, thank you so much. This game manager offense by design or DJ's style? I think it's just the way that Daniel Jones has success.
Yeah, what do you mean design? We had 4 deep shots designed today. We could hit any of those, Renee. This is not a design. This is what he's dialed up deep shots, and we didn't hit them.
Yes. Now, this is a quick passing.
Not DJ style, Renee. Sorry.
This is a quick passing offense, right? But they try to run the football so they could set up that play action deep shots and those play action digs and horizontal crosses over the middle of the field, right? But those deep shots, when they're not hit, dude, it makes it look.
I'm so mad, Nick, at how mad this team makes me, dude. I'm so mad that I have these rants and I have these blowups. Like, I just shouldn't be going through this anymore. I'm so sick of it, dude. It's infuriating. It's disgusting. Every one of these fans is going through it too that are listening. Not everyone. Some people, just want DJ to succeed, and I get that, and that's fine. And it's everyone else's fault. That's okay. But like, we all want them to win, regardless of how you think they can win. And it's just sickening that we have to keep going through this every single year, the same shit over and over again. It's still September, Nick. And we're having these kind of conversations. Like, how can they not figure this out for us? Make things fun again.
Yeah. Make offense fun again. All right. Did we take one shot in the end zone? JP Stevens asked. JP, thank you so much. Yeah. So I don't think so. Did we?
Oh, great question. Did we throw any passes in the end zone tonight?
I don't think so.
That's a really interesting question, JP. I don't know that we did. I don't remember a single attempt in the end zone tonight.
No.
Wow.
I mean, you had the Wandale incompletion, and then you had.
Did we have any red zone opportunities besides that Wandale one? Like any inside the 10 or 15s?
I think it was just that one, and then Joseph kicked like I think 250+ yards.
Yeah, they were long ones.
Late 41. Good for him, though. We have a field goal kicker, guys. That's an upgrade, right? We didn't have that 2 weeks ago.
I was scared for sure that we brought back Joseph. I was the first drive, dude, when we're like, oh my God, is Daboll really setting up for this long ass field goal? I am about to blow my casket if he misses this. And they give them like field position at the 45. Like, how stupid are you, coach? And go for it. And I was like, all right, he's right. Joseph can kick again. Because last week, Joseph looked horrible. But to the point that was just made, I won't blame them as much since they only had one opportunity inside the red zone, really like in the 10 or 15.
Too many drops. This hurts not giving up hope.
Definitely too many drops.
Yes. Yeah. That was from Big Bang 75. Thank you, Big Bang 75. James Desi. James, efficient and on script with 0 deep ball ability gets you 5 field goals a game all year. Neighbors literally had to stop after getting wide open. Nailed it, James. Yeah. And that's just,
he didn't even have to stop. He kind of had to like control his body. And like, I watched it again, do like this weird thing where he like had to like track almost. He had to like track the ball.
Yeah, crazy because it was so underthought.
It's crazy that he had to track a ball and he was that open. But
Michael, thank you so much here for the algorithm. We appreciate that. Barth 3400. DJ's push like throwing motion limits his distance.
I think that's fair. He does aim it a lot. Yes,
he's an aimer. Okay, Jordan, we got Marcus Creed. Thank you, Marcus. From the bottom of my heart, we win 33-20 if Tyrod was quarterback and Malik would have had 200. Even with the drops, we lost because our quarterback is an abomination to ball.
Only pushback I'll have on that, Marcus, is, and you know I'm not the DJ supporter here, and neither is Nick, but I'm definitely not. I will say this. DJ may have kept the offense a little bit more on time and in rhythm on the short passes than Tyrod would. That was never Tyrod's strength. Though Tyrod did have the 8th best clean EPA last year versus Jones's 42nd and DeVito's 43rd, and that's filtering out all the pressures. Still think Jones a little bit better in the quick game. Also, there were a lot of drops from the receivers tonight, so that can't blame Jones for those drops.
Chris Martinez. Chris, thank you so much. I'm seeing a lot of Dave's hate. People really want to move on from him. Personally, I don't want to move on from Dave's. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. We're going to do a quick recap here, Nick and I. This is for a larger discussion, a larger time. My thoughts are very hard to find good coaches in the NFL. I don't think it's easy to just fire and rinse and repeat. And sometimes you can get stuck with like a Dan Quinn, who actually looks okay right now. But like, and I shouldn't have said that name because he's actually off to an amazing start.
I don't know why you shit on Dan Quinn so much.
I just feel like his defense is not. I don't know. I do shit on him way too much.
He's a leader, and he's from Morristown, bro.
Yeah, it was a little bit of it felt like a retread hire. But I apologize to Dan Quinn. You have your team 2-1 right now, Dan Quinn. You're doing a great job. I'll never say that. This is the last time I throw shit on Dan Quinn. It's too many times I've referenced him, and it's not fair. But having said that, I'm just not sold we're going to get a good coach if we fire another. And I know at least Daboll can design a good offense and call a good game. I feel like he's called a good game for the past 3 games, and I don't really blame him for Minnesota either because his quarterback was unbelievably bad in that game, like unplayably bad in that game. Obviously, anyone who has 2 eyes and cannot answer things honestly can say that about the first game. But so I'm fine keeping him, but I also think he's not the greatest in-game manager as a head coach. And I don't know if that's ever going to change.
There have just been like several mistakes that he's made that are almost inexcusable.
Right.
With me, Chris, I evaluate this basically half by half, game by game. And it could spiral. We've seen it happen in recent history. And by the end of the season, I could easily be singing a different tune that's much more grim for Brian Daboll. Right now, I'm just evaluating as it goes. I don't attribute this loss to Brian Daboll, but go back 2 weeks and I attributed basically the entirety of that loss to his mismanagement of the roster. Ronald, thank you so much. Says response to Slayton push-off comment. It was okay. I think we went over this one actually before. Thank you, Ronald. One step closer to a new quarterback. Say less NYC. Thank you so much. Say less NYC with.
I don't even want to get into that discussion yet, Nick, because I don't even know if I want a quarterback in this 2025 class.
Yeah, we'll talk about that another time. Sani, thank you so much. Sani says defense was a little sloppy, but did the job. If we run the ball, have a decent, we win the game that held us back on offense. McDonald in C will be tough.
Yeah, so McDonald's going to be a tough matchup for Seattle. I don't totally agree with the run the ball thing, though, because I think they found enough of a run game through their short passing game, which was an extension of the run game.
I agree with that. And Seattle, that defense is going to be tough. The Giants have an extra 3 days to prepare for this and rest up, get healthy. Jake Rue, thank you so much for the super sticker. Daniel Downing, thank you so much. Thought coaching and defense were on point, and like everyone else, I think Dimes ain't got the arm to get it done. Yeah, it's been the theme of this
Defense
podcast.
was good on point in the second half, but the first half was not. But again, tough matchup for them. They have no secondary. Everyone's injured, and Dak is a smart processing quarterback.
Yeah, and Bowen tried getting creative, throwing some of those blitzes at him, and he dialed him up every single time. And he
Every
stands in the
single
pocket and takes freaking hits too, man. Like
He's
Dak
like
is
a
so
Cousins
underrated,
type of
man.
that. Dak and Cousins, they are so good at standing in the pocket, taking the hit because they know they want to get the ball out to a certain spot.
Yeah, they're very well timed up. Ronald, thank you so much. If the ball is driven to the inside of the field, his arm looks alive. Spiral, velocity, force. It's an A plus. Outside the numbers, especially with loft, F.
Yeah.
Not a terrible point, man.
That's a good point. He does have much
Yeah.
better arm on the inside. I would not call it an A plus. A plus is Herbert, Stafford, those types of
Agree.
quarterbacks are what an A plus arm looks like. But it's like a B plus type of arm, maybe even A minus on some of those. Look, the throw, the dig route to Neighbors tonight, that's an A plus throw. He throws that dig route really well, Jones. It's the only time to me he ever looks like a good arm talent quarterback throughout his whole career. I just don't know why he can't do that for everything. But I guess it's an arm talent issue.
All right. And Marcus Creed, 10 years of my season being over
Oh my
in
God.
September. Yeah, it's been a decade of misery, Marcus. I
So
know.
effed up.
And then Frankie Baby, thank you so much. And Jake Rue, thank you so much again. And those are all of our super chats.
Nice.
Dan,
Thank
what else
you.
you got, bro?
Nothing else. Look, we're going to regroup. We all have to regroup after this. We got our hopes up, our momentum for this game. This was a defining game for the season. It was a defining game for us. If we got to 2-2 with a win over our rival Dallas, something we haven't been able to do, it would have changed the outlook of the season. Now we're back to 1-3. I get a sad, somber feeling that it might be like last season. We might grind to 6-7 wins, which at this point, I don't care. At this point, Nick, I don't really like this quarterback class. So I'm just like, whatever happens from a win standpoint is what it is. Personally, I want Nico or Arch in the class after. So I'm just kind of just hoping that happens somehow for my life, that we get it to arm talent like that in my life again. Good God, did you see Nico this past game rip that intermediate shot? And my God, when you see this kid's arm, this kid has an arm and he is tall. Arm. Like that's like I watch that arm and I'm like, I actually have hope that like something could change for my franchise if we can get arm talent like that on our roster. But it is what it is. Hopefully the Giants can keep fighting. They're going to keep fighting. That's what Daboll does. Like last year, he ground out 6 wins with like 3 different quarterbacks and 17 different offensive line combinations, right? Like this year, knock on wood, Nick, we're healthy on the offensive line through 4 games, which is insane. I think that was a point, by the way. I forgot who we'll end on this, Nick. It's kind of sad, but we should end on it anyway. A point that was made to me this week from one of our listeners who DM'd me was like, you know what's the craziest part about this start to our season? Usually, like, we start this poorly and it's like all these injuries that we can blame. This year, the Giants have actually been pretty healthy. And, there's been some injuries now in the secondary, but we've been pretty damn healthy. Our whole D line's still healthy. Our whole O line is healthy. Neighbors, all these guys like Jones, like to be 1-3 with almost perfect health, and not perfect, obviously the DBs, but like really good health. It's not good.
No, 100%. And you can also make a realistic argument that the Giants could easily be like 3-1.
They could easily be 3-1. They blew this game in the Washington game. They should have won both of those games. If they were a better team, they would have won both those games.
Yeah, and saying that, then it's like, well, obviously they're not the better team, so they don't deserve it. My point is, like, they've been blown out a lot in recent memory. It's like they're keeping these games close. They're putting themselves in a position where they have to make a play here or a play there, and they win.
Right.
And they're still finding ways to lose.
And some of these games, there's like 4 or 5 plays that they could have had that they would have won the game. Like this one, I felt like was a good example of that. And the Washington one, maybe a little bit less of that. But this one, to me, they really should have won. And it's just so disappointing that once again, it does end up in an L.
Ronald, thank you so much again, buddy. Thank you. Great. Says just another donation for the good work. Jones sucks, but I will root for him until he eventually runs out of lives playing for us.
Yeah, that's fair, Ronald. Look, I respect every fan.
He's got like 900 lives.
Yeah, he does have a lot of lives. Imagine we go into year 7 of Jones next year. Certainly possible. Certainly possible.
Thank you, Ronald.
Anyway, Anyway, all right. Let's see what we can do. I'm excited to go to the tape. I don't know the plan just yet, but it's probably going to be a Saturday show is what I'm looking toward. I hope that works for you, Nick, but we can talk about that off pod. But yeah, so we'll get both those up for you as fast as we can, and then we'll get turned around and headed to next week. I think we're at a point, Nick, now, especially after this loss. Would have been good loss or win where it's time for a mailbag. We haven't done one yet this season. So we'll do that next week, maybe Monday or Tuesday. We'll look toward that. So thanks again for tuning in. Please, if you enjoy the show, if you like this hour that you just spent with us, just hit the like button before you close this window. Just click it right there. Use your hand, hover over the mouse, and click like. And then,
Use
if you
your
want,
mouth, actually,
yeah, you can go like it like that,
Forehead.
headbutt it, bang. And if you want to, just go to your chat right now and just type in, I love this show, or I hate Dan, he's too mean to Daniel Jones. Whatever you want, just put something in those comments to really juice it up for us. Other than that, yeah, I knew that was going to lead to a little head nod from you, Nick. But other than that, have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon.